And check this out, man. The day y'all already see by the title what we're gonna be talking about, man. We're gonna break it down, get real deep into some stuff. Because this, you know what I'm saying, this hood astrology is 101. So if you wanted to know astrology and you probably done heard it, you know, sound all boring and westernized and stuff like that, you don't find the right program. You get what I'm saying? You don't find out how to hurry up and find it, bam, bam, get through it and get going. But I don't even like using the word program, so get X that out anyway. But anyway, let's get on into it, man. So, what do we know about astrology? What do we know about any of these things? Because a lot of people start off from a religion perspective, and the only thing you taught is the little bit that you taught throughout school, right? So they tell you this might be your zodiac sign. So basically, what it is people learn westernized, and it's going by just the sun sign. It's not actually talking about your moon sign. It's not actually talking about like the seasons and stuff like that. It start getting a little how am I say a little confusion, but between how they do it in the east side of the world versus how we do it over here. So a lot of people might not understand how if someone's born in India, they might be a different zodiac than someone is born in Florida for say, and they got the same birth date. You get what I'm saying? Like so, when it get down to that, we got to start talking about it because just out the gate, even when it come down to the moon has its own phases and it got its own signs that it go into as well. So when we talk about the signs, you know, 2.5 days is basically the time for the moon to move to another sign. But the way it plays out, so that's just like how the sun do. You know how you got people that's born in the month of, that's basically when the sun is, you know, going through his new position. So on a big level. But then you got the days of the, you know, the days of the week. So this is another. So a lot of people don't understand that all the way down to the year. So when you're looking at a calendar, it's way more than what you think it is. You know what I'm saying? You're not just looking at somebody just put together a bunch of dates and that's just what it is. You know how they be trying to manipulate people. You know, like the conscious group, and this is the reason why. And I was gonna wait till a couple people get in so I could talk about it because you got the conscious group that be trying to make it and they give power to the wrong things, right? Where they try to make it like man-made time. No, man didn't make a time. Man made a calendar and a watch to track how the time moves. So if you don't understand how that works, then that's why you don't get, the hours, you know what I'm saying, the minutes and the seconds of the time of the day. But really seconds don't even be in on that. But so either way, when we talk about hourly and then you talk about the small degree of how things go by, think about how many hours a day. You got 24 hours, right, in a whole day. So that's not saying the whole day take up to 24. No, but it's supposed to be 12 in, 12 out. So it's supposed to be basically broken down and even. So sometimes of the year it will make a difference. So this is where that come in at. So you got to have common sense. You got to also be able to see how things get moderate and how things still switch up but stay at a certain moderation. So that's the same thing we supposed to be able to do. Like even with our mind, we supposed to be able to grow with inside our mind and still be able to moderate or be able to switch up. So you know what I'm saying? This is how we supposed to be. We supposed to be able to be mutable like the seasons. So not only do you have cardinal, which is being able to come up with an idea, but you got fixed, which is something like, or some people would say it's situated or it's hard, switch their mind. So in the negative light, that could be used as that. But in the positive light, that could look at somebody like, when they on track on something and they got goals, they'll do anything to get to their goals before they quit. So at the same time, this is what I'm saying. So with the mutable thing, you can match energy, but it could be a good thing and a bad thing to that. So basically what it is a dagger on one side and you don't know how you flipping the blade if you don't know who you are. So a big part of the astrology is a lot of people don't know who they ascended as well. They didn't know that the time of the birth has something to do with them as well. So it all plays back to making the characteristics of who you are today. You might not even understand, like when a real spiritual person will probably tell you, like right now, you know what I'm saying, like, you chose your body, you chose your parents. So we're gonna look at it like that. Not actually chose your body, but you chose your parents. So this end up being who you are. And a lot of people don't understand that. How you get when you got that going on, you as the person, this is your characteristics that's being made out. This is how you being basically picked and choose on what's gonna be unique about you. Even if a lot of people even if a lot of people don't believe in astrology, that's them. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand the chemistry makeup of themselves. And they probably get a lot of the same results or the same energy as a person that they ain't think they was nothing alike because they don't even understand how far or how themselves is. So it's basically like you getting tricked into molding to something or getting tricked into being something that you seen on TV that didn't actually match your energy. So it's like you trying to access superpowers or access some powers that don't belong to you. Y'all ever seen some? It's like, it's like Goku trying to do a special being cannon. It's like, hold on, that ain't your power, bro. But anyway, I don't know how to break it down to anybody else that want to see it, in the anime form. You know what I'm saying? But either way, that's like the simplest way to put it. Like somebody else's power is what it is. If somebody got super strength, just for your sake, they don't got the speed with it. You know what I'm saying? Or if they do have the speed and stuff with it, that makes a whole nother scenario. But just saying, if their talent is strength, that's what they're for. The other one's talent is speed, that's what they're for. So don't need the confusion in between. But this is how they like to play things amongst us. But so going into it, when we start looking at who we are, we don't really know. That's what I'm getting back to. So it's like people have to find the world. You know how people say that, or they have to find them pals and stuff like that. That's why a lot of people be lost, because when they have to find themselves, like they never realize who they are, because they run away or they start getting engaged to who they thought they was, because they was raised around individuals, or that they shape their mind to thinking of certain things. So it end up going back to who you naturally is, or who you actually is. You get what I'm saying? So back down to the origin of what you got going on. So at the end of the day, this is when we'll start seeing people start losing themselves and be like, damn, bro, I don't know how I wrecked like that, bro. I lost myself. So they don't understand how their feelings get involved. They don't understand how their actions get involved. So if you talk to somebody right now while they got a simple sober mind, or ain't angry about nothing, I'm pretty sure they could tell you, nah, I ain't gonna do nothing dumb. I ain't gonna do nothing reckless. But a lot of people don't realize, okay, boom, now once that Lilith get affected, or once these other phases of you getting your feelings, aka once your moon being unpleased, once you're not being fulfilled, how it's going to play out now. So this could play out in a person just not even getting what they want. You know what I'm saying? You ever seen somebody with the spore brat syndrome? You know what I'm saying? A lot of these people like to say, moon and Cancer as well. So it's like it plays out as that as well, but not saying all moon and Cancer like that, because some of them can have a real hard shell by going throughout life. It's like one of those developing signs. But either way, just talking about how it goes, man. So when you start learning who you are and you start learning how to deal with this energy, this is what makes you more better of a version of you, which is where a lot of people lost themselves. You know what I'm saying? Don't know how to be unique. Don't know how to be what you was created for. So a lot of people go to trying to be something else, be something that you're not. You get what I'm saying? So once you even find that out, you start finding out what you're talented about. So even me, like, right, I'm like mathematics, trying to put things together, trying to calculate, like to balance things and try to be, very conservative when it come down to spending and stuff like that. So even in a real life thing, it helps me where I'm not one of the type of people that every time I see something new or see something very expensive, I feel like I got to get it. So that might help people that do. You know what I'm saying? Say, for instance, if you're the opposite of me. So you're one of the type of people that has expensive taste. That might work out for you if you're the type of person that's flashy. So you're putting it on the camera. I'm not flashy, so they don't even go with me. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you have your own personality, and you have how things could play out for you, such as you using these things that make the actual, gift and talent out of this stuff. So you should have things that come back from what fulfill you. So this is why a long time ago I made a video based off of rappers, singers, and stuff like that should be based off, go based off their moon sign, so they could be more into the feeling, more into the emotion of actually feeling the music. No matter if everybody else think that is good or not, it's more based off of what you could put out. Because you know what I'm saying, even the musicians right now, we see it all the time. They'll be like, man, some people gonna like it, some people gonna hate it, and they keep pushing, they keep going on. You get what I'm saying? So there's a lot of ways that this play out to us before we even get into the nerdy sides of it and talk about, the how many days or how long it take and how many signs and what sign means what. This is just to show people, like, I understand where you're coming from. So this is why I'm doing the whole thing of a hood intro. This is not really the 101. This is really basically like the intro to what's going on, because at the end of the day, when you trying to break down realistic stuff, people are not going to be able to hear it. You know why? Because they anamorphize a lot. So when you see what these things actually meant, or even what it was set to stand for, it start shaping the mind a little bit different. It start unwinding those bunch of spin circles and magical squares that people done got lost in. So it started to help you understand how to move better as a spirit, period. You know what I'm saying? Or just say as a person in the world, because you don't want to get caught up to something where you felt like it was justified, you felt like it was right, and now you done stood for it, and you ain't even realize that it wasn't nothing you stood for, and now you're in a position where it messed your whole life up. You know what I'm saying? So that's the same way why people try to talk to young bucks about, or young people in general, about getting in trouble and doing things that's out of chaos. Of course, everybody done had their time when they was younger and started doing things out of recklessness, and that's what kind of shaped them and molded them and make them a man. But at the same time, you still always had a person, like, try to deliver the message, because it be on their heart. Some people got a heart for it to be like, you know what I'm saying, let me tell this person about this, because I don't went through stuff like that. I don't want to see them take the same position. But you also have the people where, in life, where they kind of look at you like, damn, I don't like this person. But that's a whole nother topic. They're just talking about hate. But within love itself, it don't come from always as people expect it. So it might be you just, be looking at things from half empty instead of full perspective instead of halfway full perspective. So instead of you losing out, look at it like you're gaining things, or look at it like it's more that you can add on to your abilities when you know the astrology of yourself. You know the genetic mix-ups of you, so you know how you got here, cosmos, or however people want to look at it. But just saying from above, you know how you became below. So when you understand that, now you know how to correlate with what's going on. You understand what you have a whole, basically a little spiritual calendar for yourself, and you didn't even realize that. You get what I'm saying? Where we always thinking that superpower was supposed to be something that we seen on TV, and you know, like the blasters and all that junk from Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. What I was explaining, which I'm not taking away from it and saying it's not cool or entertaining. But what I'm saying is this is just a over exaggerated version of what we go through. It's a lot of these movies play out the same way. That's why I told you it's the movies about you sometimes, and the movies trying to show you what the next move going to be. See, do you accept it? Did you accept all the iRobots? Not everybody in the world got a robot that they buying, and that's one of the top trending things right now. So it depends on however you got it going. So you got to know how to read between things. So at the end of the day, that's why I like to, break it down before even getting into it. Would think that you just, I follow along with something else. Nah, actually start seeing how this actually play a role to you. So like I just said the other day, the simplest way to see the astrology behind real life, if people don't believe that the sun and the moon got something to do with your life, look at how we grow. You get what I'm saying? Look at the growth of something. Look at the growth of a plant. Look at the growth of life. It's just from like the sun right here and the moon right here, that's basically all you talk. So you don't get that besides the day for the day, the night for the night. So after that, people start making the astrology even inside their own Bibles and stuff like that. So that's the reason why I like to run that type of jump back, because it done been on so much game ran on people that it's hard for a person's mind to open up to other levels. So this is what create people to be demonic. This is what create people to be actual Satans or devils, however you want to look at it, because they start getting closed-minded. So they become stabilized, actually, in the lies that they believe and feel like they're stable, because this is where they start trouble bundling with inside themselves and not understand, okay, instead of you being fulfilled, this is the reason why. You keep putting your fulfillment like it's a cup for somebody else to fulfill, but it was up to you. It was up to you learning how to control your emotions and understanding how to see things from the positive side up. So understanding how to be more light, not to be so heavy and be so dense. You get what I'm saying? So how to get away from your emotions, not to tune into them and drown in them, but this is how you get up out of that wave or that whirlpool that you're in. So this is how we start learning about our feelings and emotions. But you know what? They didn't want to teach people that because they use these same things to destroy people. You know what I'm saying? So you see the same thing of somebody could be cool, somebody could be good, and it could take that one thing that put them over the edge, and they could lose control of their mind, and next thing you know, they wrecked out. So they might have never did it in life before, but now we starting to see it. You get what I'm saying? Because like, it's at the end of the day, you could lose that control. So when the more you know about yourself and understand where you're coming from, some of the things you got to understand not to put yourself in. You can't always prove yourself if you're that type of person. You know what I'm saying? So like an example of even like a Capricorn moon, that's what I am. I can't be putting myself in situations where I feel like I always got to prove myself to someone. The more I do that, I'm going to end up pulling away from what I actually got going on. Might even end up bumping heads, you know what I'm saying, like a goat or a ram running up into each other. We might end up bumping heads. So it could be, I might have a round friend where I'm like, man, bump that. You know what I'm saying? This would be a battle amongst cardinal signs. It could play out a lot of different ways, but just showing you how the things go, and then it have you just, stuck in the past or just lost tripping over your own feet. And as a Capricorn, you just study running straight. You're not even looking at what you got going on. You're more worried about your business and how you being looked at as your power, your structure, as long as you ain't being tried. So a lot of times, a lot of those people fall up under that too, if you don't understand the moon being in Capricorn, of understand how rough that be. Even with the layout of how the family be, how people will, certain signs even play out where to show you, hey, you might get put on the back burner by this specific person in your life, aka a family member. You know what I'm saying? Or you might always be the one that your associates cling on to, and you might have to always separate. It's all different type of stuff to show the chemistry of how we all get created, how our minds and how our feelings and stuff actually get involved on a whole deeper level than what we was taught. You get what I'm saying? So when it comes down to that, y'all, it's so much to it. So it's like one of those things where you have to open up a book sometimes and realize like this is the real book of life. But what they did was try to trick people, and make it look like it's castle days all over again. So like a lot of people don't see that same stadium when they used to look at the Lions and junk like that, getting over people back in the I'm gonna say back in the castle days of the 1700s, the early 1800s, 16 and stuff like that. Because it's like a whole bunch of Templar, all them different type of, brotherhoods or fraternities, however you want to look at it. This is when they started coming about. So a lot of people don't realize that Christian cross, before it was represented as your religion, it was already used in a whole nother scheme, whole nother plot. So you don't even know what you be behind things. And then versus the cross. It's a lot of things that people don't get besides that. People just thought it just end when it's talking about the cross of life and cross of death. No, it go deeper than that. Life, death, and birth is all part of the same. But you have the birth being the spirit, the mental being the life, and the death being the physical. So a lot of people get lost into these things. So they don't see how it actually plays out. Just like I'm telling you with the astrology, with the why is this person built like that? Why is this person like that? Why does this person act like this? Why that person feel like that? Why that person want to be seen so much? Or why that person want to be seen in that light? Where to the point that you don't even have to figure each other out. This help you with your parenthood. When you understand what kind of kids you got, I do. You know what I'm saying? I got an Aquarius son, I got a Capricorn son, and then I got a Gemini son and a Virgo son child. And I understand each one of them, how they act. I can see when they jump into their moon signs, aka when they jump into their feelings, whether it's anger, whether it's nervousness, whether it's sorrow, whatever it is. I can see exactly which one. So I can tell when the moon and Cancers, when those two starting to get into their feelings. You know what I'm saying? Especially remember this, you got native signs like the moon belong to Cancer. So you might not understand sometimes before a superpower, it's a super villain if you don't understand how to use it. So it's like a own thing without yourself. So it's like you going against yourself. A lot of people don't get how that works. So when we talk about the chemistry makeup of you before you actually got here, you was already being a thing. This was the last realm of reality that you had to come through before we started seeing you into this world. That's why this is the most dense world. This the third dimension, or how people like to say it. So when we go into less dense things like our thoughts and our emotions, it's on a different frequency. Sometimes our thoughts be deeper, so the number of it could be situated like the fourth dimension. You get what I'm saying? Or the fifth. So when we're looking at numbers, we got to understand even numbers is a throw off. Numbers and directions is not what it seemed to be. This is one of the things that helped us get colonized. You know what I'm saying? Helped us start categorizing everything. That's the problem when people start trying to categorize God or whatever and try to give it a name and then try to give it a way that it worked. You don't know how God works. You keep telling you that in your own word. Didn't you say you don't know, nobody know the powers of God? Didn't you say God is very mysterious? So how do you have the same words and then come back and bite your tongue on the same sentence? So when we talk about these things, you got to understand what God created that you humans can't correct the real version of. How long that sun been up there? Okay, for thousands of years. How long the moon been up there? Okay, for thousands of years. But yet y'all haven't created anything that lasts thousands of years like that. So when you starting to realize it is not made by you humans, it's not made by the stuff like that. It had to be made from what you can't make. It had to be made from the creator or creators, if you want to put it like that, just to try to make sense out of it. And don't even want to categorize it as that, because it's more than just correct. See what I'm saying? So it get deep because people like to try to categorize things, try to put things in one, try to put things in a box. That's exactly how I see it. Just like people try to put a pair. They try to take your sun and your moon and put you in a box. Bam. Like you're a pair of shoes. You get what I'm saying? That's just the way people look at it. But either way, going into just real life and standards, this help you understand your kids. This help you understand what your kid was trying to talk about, how they want to learn and all. So when you're paying attention to the Mercury that your child have in position, you understand the way that your child might like to learn. So this is even when you go back to Native American days and stuff like this, it would have been more stuck off of signs. It would have been more of this sign teach those, this sign teach those. So it'd be like a whole camp. Y'all ever seen, like I was breaking down a long time ago, like Naruto of how they got the Lee village, the sound village and all this. You might be already born as a ninja that's good with sounds and making loud sounds and, moving at the speed of sound and all this. And the sound village might be what already was for you. So the way that you learn was through sound. The way that you learn through art of music, creativity. So the way that these people learn in position, they show this. So that's the reason why they put you into a different position. What do we want you to be as? If we want you to be just a regular day-to-day role-playing person that sometimes might get lucky and become a business owner and stuff like that, we'll put you in public school. If you wanted to be a person that's a professor and be our next Elon Musk, you know what I'm saying? Now we're going to put you in private school. And that's not saying the people, but this is how they look at it from a square. So they look at it from like, okay, he's coming from a private school. He might have the education that we need for us to go the next step. You know what I'm saying? We might need him to know how we could utilize this for us and then bend it back down against the people themselves. Like, so everything that could really help, now they use it to hurt. Stuff like that. Like how people could use AI to help, but people don't use it to hurt because we already see how it's going to work. You know what I'm saying? You already know. They done showed you the movies. They already showed you how it could go. They already showed you how the blame game could work. So they already made a movie about it, been warned by it, and then still did it. So at this point, we need to stop listening to human. We need to start back listening to what we've been supposed to be listening to. The lunar, the solar, however you want to get to it. Whatever, the sun, the moon, however you want to get to it. Solemn, however you want to get to it, however. But a lot of times, a lot of those things get taken out of place. So even Saul, That's another way of how they use the sun. So even Saul, the god Saul, will let you know that it was a representation of masculine, feminine energy. But when it get down to that, it get deep because you have different variations of things. Like you'll have a dark side of Zeus, stuff like that throughout history and throughout time. But we can't let that get you confused. You just got to understand the yins and yangs, the polars, the polar opposites and stuff like that will not get polarized into what they're trying to run when they're trying to run real game on us. So when we actually understand that, okay, this is what y'all talking about, y'all just making different story themes out of the characteristics of different traits that's playing out. You get what I'm saying? And they just roll with that. So they'll make a movie called Superman, and this guy might be super strong. And it might, be super fast and stuff like that. Just saying, right? And then they might make a movie where this guy seems like he's weak and everybody could beat up on him, but then when you go into the dark, he transforms, turns into somebody way stronger and could beat everybody. You know what I'm saying? That'd be more of the Scorpio energy of, how somebody could transform, how you could have thought it was a sweet person, nice person, or thought that it was a pushover, and then when they got mad and got to the extreme, now they're showing you that they don't know when to stop and don't know where to stop at. So it might be that same thing, like we done seen that in movies, where it make it like a little boy that's scared and some bullies bully him, and next thing you know, you turn up and everything get flipped over. So we see these things of how they use this magic, how they use transformation, how they use these things in the movie. What you got to realize is not to get fear-mongering and think that, all these little people that done came up here, especially the woke community, the conscious community, the people that got people like NLE Chopper starving the child out and stuff like that because they go off of dumb stuff. They don't understand organ harvest. That's all that is. When you talk about vegetation, vegans, being a vegan and all this stuff, when you trying to pick sides, you got to understand your body got a chemistry makeup, and that chemistry makeup ain't just one thing. So plants themselves not going to do it. You need to understand you need both of them for you to have the right operation. So now that ain't just saying eat any plant, any vegetable, because you already know we still got to be careful what we eat, because you know how they say you are what you eat sometimes. So if you eating a lot of pig, of course you might become with a pig personality. So we still got to have moderation, even when it comes down to fulfilling with our organs. Our organs themselves got to have a moderation. So when it comes down to charcoal system and all that, we got to have a moderation on how we do these things. That's simple. So when it comes down to us, we have our own moderations and our own things of what happened. So I might have more zinc or iron in my body than you might, or however, you know what I'm saying? I might have more mercury. You might have more lead. You might have the same glucose level. It could be whatever. But this is the genetic makeup of how people is. This is the reason why even some people have days of that they have surgery, like the moon being into Taurus. This might be the throat cancer. It might be somebody getting surgery up in the shoulder area. See, but if you don't know that, and then you ain't never been taught that, you didn't even realize that it was that important in your life, that it actually has something to do with the power. So if you're depending on some extra power to be able to help you get through a situation, aka God, well, you might not have God on your side, because this is the aim and purpose of the emotion or the site of awareness that you're trying to get at. So it'd be all these things mapped out for us. But what the fuck? That shit was crazy. But anyway, when you got these type of things going on, this is what helped us get into what's going on. I thought somebody crunk up my car. But I was like, what the fuck? I'm right here. But anyways, when you got these things going up, this is what make who you are. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't know who they are. So when a person can't identify a ID of themselves, identification, they don't realize how important the sun even played a role more than just what the Western Hemisphere taught us. So when we go into this, man, we got to talk about hoodenology. So you'll understand what not going to get you hurt in the streets if you're a street person or living by certain rules. And so the days you won't get cased up, that'll help you understand that. And further to a businessman, this will help you understand the days that you might need to start something new. This might help you understand the days and when to go off that feeling that you had. You know what I'm saying? When to structure that subconscious a little bit more. So when we talk about the subconscious community, y'all got to remember, I broke it down a long time ago. When they try to talk about an intuition is a feeling, a deep feeling. So they'll say a woman's intuition never wrong. So they play these type of things to let you know your spirit gut, your gut. So this is the first thing that you get hit in. So the same thing I do to, the Masons or whatever, when I'm making these type of videos, is gut punch. It's right there, bam. It's knocking the first set of wind out of you, making you breathe different, make you even have a different way that you can act off of, feel about it, all that. It might knock all the elements into a swirl. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, this is the reason why you have people that's steady going, steady trucking, because you can't be like the weak. You can't just lay down, because a lot of people don't understand how you got here. What made you come here? Why would you born that day? You could have been born the day that the doctor said, or you could not have. So why did you choose the day that you're born? Yeah, they could tell you, okay, I think that y'all coming this day based off of what we studied, Because they could give you a rough estimate. But it done been times a child come way earlier. We all could witness that. It done been a time a child come way later. We all could witness that. So it's been a time that a child come right on the timing of them saying it. We could witness that. So we see all of this stuff. What I'm saying, we can actually witness more than what you thought it has something to do with. So when we're looking at the moon moving into different signs, you could be a sun in a sign and a moon in a sign. I know a lot of people don't know that in the hood. You get what I'm saying? So this is from the hood astrology. Yes, sir. You got multiple planets being in position when you was born. So basically, this is your astrology being broken down into the anatomy of who you are. So this is like your makeups and stuff. This is the reason why when you see certain signs, they have certain traits, or even down to the physical, that really stand out. Like a lot of Aries has had the forehead. You know what I'm saying? A lot of Taurus has had the shoulders and stuff. You know, a lot of it depends on which one you're talking about. You know, a lot of some people have like look, their fingers and all got something to do with that. But a lot of people don't get down to that. So people look and try to judge people and make it like everybody supposed to be the same. And that's the reason why, because you have what, an 83% population of Christianity, which is a monotheistic religion basically, but it is some that believe in polytheistic, but the way that they get confused and lost up in the sauce, it don't make no sense. And it's funny because they named it Polynesian sauce or whatever. But anyways, just going to say how this junk work, man. You start seeing how even they was talking about many men having many wives and being able to control it. You start seeing that wasn't actually talking about a person. That was actually talking about astrology makeup of what was going on. So it could have been, you know, he controlled water. It could have been him control women and stuff like that. But you wouldn't understand it. You would look at it from a slavery or jailman knowledge and think that it's somebody talking about an actual person that was out here pimp slapping women without understanding it. You get what I'm saying? Or overstanding in this case, because a lot of people be under the cast and the spell so long that they can't see when things is just saying, look up, look up. Can you read the skies? Look up. How you think you smarter than the people that was way before you, but they can read the skies and you can't. Whoa, you get what I'm saying? So now and then they know, okay, we might not need to do this move. We might need to do this move. So it was always in a favor. Not saying it's going to work out 100% for you, because you have some people like, oh, shit, I tried this and one time wrong. It went. Nah, bro, it's degrees, and sometimes it's just not your time. It's a time for a lot of things as well. But you also have things participating that would slow you down from your time or pull you back. So you got like, even like on social media platforms, right? You got shadow banning. You got, you know, people blocking you off from getting into the same mainstream thing that everyone else get. You ever been to a live stream and every 3 seconds is 10 different people coming in? You get what I'm saying? But then you go to a live stream with somebody speaking sense or a spiritual thing, you know, exposing Freemasonic knowledge and letting you know who really run the world, then you're going to see a big difference of the drops. So even when you see people like Castanet or anybody like that, they're going to tell you straight up, hey, man, listen, y'all, we ain't finna have those talks like that. You get what I'm saying? I'm trying to make a check. I'm trying to live. So it's a little slick way of just paying people to be quiet. So at the same time, that's just how it works. So you can have the same thing. You could grind. You could go hard every day. That doesn't make a difference to what they actually saying you need to do. So you know how they got a ranking system? They got all this type of stuff. Man, go ask somebody. If you're not new to the live, you will understand that this is not the first day. This is not the third day. We done been doing this very consistent in a row just to show y'all consistency ain't really got nothing to do with it. I've been doing this for 6 years and ain't missed more than 2 months on no platform. So this just let you know how this works. And I got multiple platforms just to try to build in different areas and still be aware to different things that's going around. Because you can't get stuck into a square and get stuck into a box. So like if you up here doing astrology or anything like that, you still got to be outside the house to see how people in real life, what they actually experiencing. You get what I'm saying? Like right now, you see a lot of people worried about their jobs, especially if they work at a private owned job. A lot of these private owned businesses getting brought out by these large corporations. So when you start thinking like that, now you can understand why these people feel like they feel. Some people have made a life for, even with the federal job workers and stuff. But some of it we got to be careful too. Because we got to understand it's a certain agenda to make things look a certain way as well. Now, I'm not telling you that it's fake, but if it's out there, you got to realize it was already being used as a play or a monopoly piece or a chess piece, however you want to look at it. That's why they call it monopolize. Then talk to a game called Monopoly. So when you learning or running your properties, you see how that is for them. But at the same time, once you bought these properties, you might have to bomb. They schemed and lied and just tricked people out of situations. So they don't like to talk about that. So when you go into looking at history, that's why you have certain affected religions and even races and even colors is being affected in different ways. So even when it comes down to black people, you know what I'm saying, you seen them barely get like things. So even when it comes down to a lot of other races, you see how they get treated. Look how they just had people kick away Latinos and Mexicans and stuff. For what? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, they're just showing you how they'll get rid of everybody, which is foreigners and stuff, but they'll have a selection of why they did it, or select a few of why they did it. But then at the same time, as the people, once we connect with these people and stuff, People don't want them people to live. They feel like, like Ohana, however West thing say in Hawaii, these people is part of you and stuff like that. You start growing around people, hanging out with people, seeing what it was really for. But the way that it get done to us, y'all, is like making you have a genocide against each other. Could they use one party, bring them over here, and then blame them for the reason why your cost of living is high, but they're giving them free things. So it's like you're enhancing things. It's the same thing I told y'all. The same thing they did with welfare people versus people that that ever got welfare or don't get welfare, period, from anything. So it's the same thing. Of course, you're going to feel like, oh, man, I work hard. This person don't work for shit. They just sit on their ass. We get it. We're not saying you that you don't have a point. What we saying is y'all got to realize this is how you keep tearing each other apart. This is how we keep creating genocide, and this is how these things keep happening. So when it go on to that, that's just what it is. So there's just a little opening of what is going to be talked about. Of course, we're going to talk about the days, how many times a lunar cycle is, how a solar cycle and the lunar cycle plays a different role, how even in the Bible times they were talking about lunar phases in the beginning, but a lot of people get that confused. So even when it comes down to religion, the average religious person had the same worldview when they're in the same box. Now, if an average religion person get out and go around and talk around the world, probably look at different YouTube videos and stuff like that, they might have different points of attacking things and different ways to see things, but that just lets you know they're outside the box. Same thing with the spiritual chariot, psychic, whoever. You can't just go out there and because you had a bad experience with somebody and think that all people is like that, or think that as soon as you get this one feeling from somebody or get into it with somebody that everybody gonna treat you the same. So this is another way how they do people. They play it with scare tactics of having you be a nerve wreck where you don't even know how to get along with people. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, that's about all I'm gonna talk about for 101. And y'all stay tuned, man.